You're scrolling through your feed right now, seeing the weddings, the vacations, the perfect Sunday morning lattes. It feels like the whole world is shouting for attention. But then you think about that one person, the one whose profile is a ghost town. No stories, no updates, no digital footprint for months. Society tells us they're missing out, that if you don't post it, it didn't happen. But psychology suggests something much deeper is going on. These people aren't boring, and they're certainly not out of touch. In fact, their brains might be wired for a type of freedom that most of us have completely forgotten how to feel. Today, we're dissecting the psychology of the invisible ones, the people who choose to live their lives without proving it to anyone. Let's start with the validation loop. Every time you post, your brain waits for that hit of dopamine. A like, a comment, a fire emoji. It's a microdose of social approval. But for the non-poster, that reward system looks different. Instead of looking outward, they look inward. This is what psychologists call a high internal locus of control. You believe that your outcomes and your happiness come from within, not from the number of views on a 24-hour story. But there's a scientific cost to posting that no one talks about. It's called the photo-taking impairment effect. Research shows that when you focus on capturing a moment, your brain actually offloads the memory to the device. You remember the photo, but you forget the feeling of the wind. You forget the smell of the coffee. The people who never post, they are hoarding those memories for themselves. They are experiencing life in high definition while the rest of us see it through a filter. There is also the privacy security paradox. In a world where everyone is searchable, being unfindable is a superpower. It creates an air of mystery. But more importantly, it creates safety. They understand that the less people know about you, the less they can ussy against you. It's not about being secretive. It's about being selective. Let's talk about the digital stage. Every time you open an app, you are stepping onto a platform. You are the director, the actor, and the publicist. This constant performance is exhausting for the human brain. Psychologists call it self-presentation theory. We are wired to manage how others perceive us. But the non-poster has opted out of the play. They don't have to maintain a brand. They don't have to curate a narrative that matches their reality. This absence of performance leads to authenticity surplus. When no one is watching, you finally get to find out who you actually are. Without the need for an audience, your hobbies become pure. You don't hike for the summit photo. You hike for the burn in your lungs. You don't cook for the aesthetic plate. You cook for the taste of the salt. There's a quiet dignity in that silence. It's a rebellion against the attention economy, an economy that treats your focus like a commodity to be sold. By not posting, they are keeping their most valuable asset for themselves. But let's be real for a second. It isn't always easy. There is a heavy social pressure to exist online. Friends might ask if you're okay. Family might feel disconnected. This is where social comparison theory kicks in. When we see others' highlights, we subconsciously measure our own behind the scenes. It's a game you can never win, because you're comparing your messy morning to their perfectly edited sunset. The non-poster has simply decided to stop playing. They've found peace in digital solitude. It's the ability to be alone with your thoughts. Without a digital crowd watching over your shoulder, your brain finally gets a chance to decompress. To enter what neurologists call the default mode network. This is the state where deep thinking and creativity happen. It's where your brain processes your day and solves complex problems. But you can't enter that state if you're constantly checking notifications. You can't think deeply if you're busy thinking about the caption. This is the ghost superpower. The ability to move through the world without leaving a trail. It allows for a rare form of psychological growth. Because when you don't broadcast your progress, you don't have to defend it. You can fail in private. You can change your mind without a public record of your old opinions. You can evolve without the weight of your past digital self holding you back. Some might call it antisocial, but there's a massive difference between isolation and privacy. One is a wall that keeps people out. The other is a gate that only lets the right people in. The non-poster values reciprocal intimacy. They want to tell you about their trip over a real dinner. watching your face react to the story rather than watching a heart icon turn red. They crave the nuance of a human voice, not the flat text of a comment section. In the age of AI and deepfakes, being offline is the only way to be certain you're real. It's an investment in the physical world, a world with texture, weight, and consequences. It's about being a participant, not a spectator. And that choice, as simple as it seems, is a radical act of self-love. So, if you're the one who hasn't posted a photo in 3 years, if your followers don't know what you had for lunch or where you went for the weekend, don't let the noise make you feel small. You aren't being forgotten. You are being remembered by the people who actually matter, because you are present in their lives, not just their feeds. You are building a life that feels good on the inside rather than one that just looks good on the outside. And in a world that never stops talking, the most powerful thing you can do is stay silent. Because silence isn't empty. It's full of the things that actually make life worth living. The things you don't need a filter for. The things you don't need a like to validate. If this resonated with you, it's because you're likely part of this quiet revolution. You might also want to understand why quiet people process information differently. It's a biological advantage that most people overlook. Click here to see how your brain actually works in the shadows. Subscribe if you find peace in the silence. I'll see you in the next deep dive.